Hello, all. Todd here with my guest, Brad Plunk.
Hello.
And we have a new little segment on my show. He's a veteran. I'm a YouTuber. We're going to talk some questions, get some ideas out, and we're just going to discuss stuff. I don't want stories to die or starve, and his is one I think is a good one. Now I would like him to introduce himself.
I'm Brad. I was joined the Marine Corps in 2005. Served till 2011. Been retired ever since. And just kind of hanging out, trying to figure it all out.
Okay, good, good. Me too. I've been at college for a few years, and I still don't know anything. And I want to ask him a few questions about his time in the military. How did it go?
Uh, I think overall it was all right. I was infantry machine gunner for 6 years, 3 deployments, two to Iraq, one to Afghanistan. So
Okay.
there were some good times. There were some tough times.
Okay. Okay. And what spurred you to go into the military?
September 11th. I was a freshman in high school. Like a lot of people my age, we were in class and it happened. Then teachers wheeled in TVs in time to see the second impact and the aftermath, and then that's what pretty much sealed it for me. But I grew up in a military family. My dad was a veteran, uncles, grandpa, so it was always on the table. But that's what really sealed the deal for me.
Okay. Okay. Well, like I think we previously discussed, I'm 32. You're 38. So you
Yes.
were a freshman. I was 8 years old. I was too busy learning how to read, collect Pokemon cards, and argue with people who could win a fight Goku or somebody else. It's always Goku. It was always Goku. And I mean, that's just a different perspective, right? I mean, you'd be more developed in the frontal lobe than me at that point, and they also have a psychological effect called rally around the flag effect, what happened during 2001. And I also came from a military family. My father was in Iraq and Kuwait, Desert Storm. Both my grandpas fought in Vietnam. I had a great uncle who fought in World War II, and several others. And I chose college as my path. And it again had its ups and downs, but I'm here now, talking about it. So, what has, I guess, retired life been for your past your experiences?
It's it's been nice, but it's had its challenges. I've plenty of time to explore hobbies and interests. I spent a lot of time using my GI Bill and everything, going to college and everything. But after a while, if you don't stay busy, then you get caught in a loop of, just like depression and mental health issues if you're not careful. And then you just gotta stay occupied.
Idle hands are the devil's plaything, so said
Yeah.
my grandmother. And that's why I do YouTube and stuff. And also, I would like to know what you go to college for, because this is news to me now.
My first semester, I did psychology, and then I dropped that, went into engineering for a while. Then from engineering, I went to nursing. From nursing, I went to computer science. From computer science, I went to land surveying. And then from land surveying, I went to general studies. So I've got a ton of credits, but nothing applies to anything.
Mm. My fields. I actually went for before I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a voice actor, but my dad told me that was stupid. And with the 95%, 9% unemployment rate, maybe I was on to something. You know what I mean? But I went to be a biomedical researcher. That was my first thing. I love science. I love chemistry. I'm not a big fan of math. That's what got me out was calculus. Kicked me right out of it because I couldn't calc for my life. I
Mm.
still derivatives, angles. The only time I ever got a good grade in math was in geometry. And the only reason I did that because I did construction work and learning formulas.
Mm.
Because when you got to know a formula to eat, you're gonna learn it. You're gonna starve.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't cut that, so then I went to journalism for about a semester or two. And I didn't like that, which was actually I was actually really inspired by Hunter S. Thompson. From I'd probably not say, but I'm being 100% honest with you. Yellow journalism and all that. And I settled back into biomedical, but then I went to dietetics because I remember when I was younger, I was on these meds that made crave carbohydrates that made me want to just eat everything. I got kicked out of Chinese restaurants, like a freaking Kung Fu film, for God's sakes, you know? And it really made me wonder. I don't know anymore. Like, I think you dodged a bullet with, computer science these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And with nutrition, I don't know anymore. I don't know if there's a point, because for the last 5 or 6 years, food's been food. I don't judge anybody. If you gotta live on a ramen diet, I'm not judging you. And I'm just a health nerd, but I don't know. I'm also a health promotion masters owner, which, again, with the life expectancy going down every year, that's really good. But yeah, and if you didn't have to go to the military or didn't want to, what would you go? What would you done? What was your path to vert then?
I didn't really have one. I had no clue. I was just no direction really. I was just in high school, just freshman when 9/11 happened, and then I was like, well, they they did that, so I'm gonna go get some payback.
Okay, okay, karma's real on every continent in this world. I guarantee you that. Just ask my father and both my grandpas; they're still alive. My one grandpa actually fought in Vietnam, Larry Dean Blanchard. I'm Dean the third. I go Dalton Dean, Dean the third. And my other grandpa, Kenneth Cochran, went to Alaska working on missile silos. And a funny story is he took my uncle, who was adopted. My uncle's around 14. And well, let's put it this way, it gets cold in Alaska. It gets
Yeah.
very cold. And there's lots of moose up there, or meeses. I don't know the plural really off the top of my head. One nearly knocked the house down and they took out the whole family line, honestly. I could have been killed because I wouldn't be here because of a moose. But I was here because of a cold, because my grandparents, they just had a miscarriage, which is sad. And then it got really cold in Alaska. Then my mother was conceived. So if it wasn't for a cold world, I wouldn't be here right now, which is kind of funny. I also was born in February, so I got that winter soul in me, I guess. And yeah, and I wanted to go to the military as well. I actually want to be in special forces. I was working on my ASFAB, my GRD, just in case things went wrong. I really liked my recruiter and all that, but they said I'd be a year off my meds, which at the time I didn't think I could do it. But in hindsight, I probably could have. And, well, what would you recommend for young men and women these days, especially young men?
Oh, it's kind of a tough one. I can speak, from my experience. If you decide to join the military, I think it's a great thing. I think you can really gain a lot from it. Uh, I don't think it's something that should be taken lightly. Definitely do your research about all the branches, MOSs, the jobs, and really find something that really speaks to you, and think about after the military as well. Find something you can do that you can transfer out as a civilian.
Of course, because hopefully the warrior can come home in more ways than one.
Yeah, 'cause I speak, as an infantryman, my skills didn't transfer out into the civilian world real well.
Which I heard is a very big problem in the military field, you know what I mean? It's like combat versus civilianhood. What is the blurring line, you know what I mean? It's very fine, I believe. And blurs easily. But I don't know, my father was an equipment operator for a long time in the Army, and he brought those skills over here, and he's been good at it for a while. He can't do it now because he's also retired, worked most of his life, and yeah, he's getting help with that. I personally would say very much research your options for college, because I don't think nutrition and health promotion are going away. I think they're becoming more prominent, because we're slowly going to what I call a revolution of responsibility. Because if only you is going to save you, that's in the military, college, anywhere. You can't depend on other people, really, which is sad but true. Like, thank you for your service, but past that, I can't expect anything else of you. I will not ask you. I'll always celebrate the vets. And have you ever partook in AI personally?
Yeah, I use Chat GPT pretty regularly.
Okay. Do you see anything to help veterans with ChatGPT? Because I think I could see it as a therapy tool. I did a video on my channel about being a possible therapy assistant.
Yeah, that's a good point with assistant because it's still pretty new technology and it does hallucinate a lot. So I wouldn't rely on it as just general like actual. It won't replace professional help by
Of
any
course
means.
not. Of course not.
But it can be helpful if you just need a sounding board, or and then I've kind of done some soul dumping into it, and I've pretty regular conversations with it, and I can look back at old chats and see where I was, and with it remembering things, I can just be like, hey, analyze me, and it'll give based on our chats, what are things I need to work on, what are my strengths and weaknesses, and uh, so it's helped me with that. Um, but I think it's used properly and not as your only source. I think it can be beneficial.
Of course, because I do. I'm a writer. I'll get on that later. I wrote one book. It's pretty meh. But anyway, I made it as possibly a therapy assistant for as a niche idea because I don't know your experiences over there in Iraq or anywhere else. I've never really been outside the United States, and surely not for the same reasons you were. But with this patchwork partner, I guess, or chimerian companion of all these ideas, all these viewpoints from different veterans who have put in or something or talked about it, could maybe get some type of idea. Which again, if your therapist is from the army, they know, they understand. Which I don't know how rare or normalized that is, because I'll never know. I'll never know for no, and I don't think a lot of people will, because there's about 20 million veterans in America. That's less than 10%. That's very rare, not counting other issues. So I'd say use ChatGPT as a assistant. I talk about AI pretty regularly on this channel. I try to get my perspective as I guess a creative casualty, being a writer. I write short stories, I write books, and I always want to know. Excuse me. I would like my stories to sink or fail on their own merits by the strength of my stories. So I think a lot of people today rely on gimmicks or buzzwords and or what's popular, what's trendy, and not really think about the story. They go for gimmick, not gold, and gold's a lot harder to find. Mm-hmm. Not to say mine's gold. I really wouldn't know the value of my stories. The time is probably too much, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be me, coming through me. And I'm not against ChatGPT. I'm very cautious about it, but I'm not condemning it. Because like you said, I think it's around 60% they hallucinate. Around there. More than half's a little too dodgy for me. And again, I don't want to rely on it, but it's good you have help. You always need a network, okay? Because AI psychosis is a thing, and people falling deeply in love with their AIs, which they just made an update where they kind of toned that down.
Yeah, I think it's important to use discernment. If something seems odd, double check in other resources online and wherever you can.
I also felt bad for Sam Altman for once because he's a billionaire. He probably didn't care enough to read what those people were saying. That's what I feel really bad about. We can't talk about that here. But another thing I'd like to get on, besides finding something to do with your time, what are some outlets you've used to help you with your time, your abundance of it now, in your retirement?
Probably jiu-jitsu is a big one. And then just other creative things, playing guitar and just photography, and just I try to use my time in creative or physical things. Gardening, touching back on food a little bit. I think if it's within your means and you have the space to do it, I think it's important to grow your own food. And if somebody's able to have livestock, I think that would be good too. I think when you have more control of your food, you know what you're getting.
And it is true. I remember this quote quote, I remember, if somebody controls the oil, they control the world. If they control the food, they control the people. And if you control your food, you control yourself. And that's what I find that needs to be done in nutrition is people need to take control. You know, I've seen people buy Frankenstein food and these experiments. Don't get me started on possible meat or carbon butter. That stuff. I just don't like it based on silo. I guess I'm a butter bigot. I don't know. I just don't want. I don't trust it. I love butter by itself. It has to come from a cow. You know, it has a face, a mother, and came out of the ground. I love it. But if it came out of a can, a laboratory, or a market, I don't want to deal with it. And I tell people to go. And that's basically it. Simple, unprocessed. Because we live in an ultra-processed world, in my opinion. And I think AI will help and also hinder that. You know what I mean? Because I watch some deep fake stuff. I can't tell the difference sometimes. It's very hard.
Oh yeah, I've seen the. I guess there's a new Sora update, and I've been seeing a lot of videos online that they still have the AI trademarks. You know, you can see all that stuff, but they're getting a lot better.
Yeah, because I remember it was a couple of years back. I remember seeing an influencer modeler from Sweden, very pretty, too pretty though. I knew something was up. Not because I didn't have a chance with her or anything. That's beside the point. That's my number one thought already. You already beat me to it. But I'm like, there's no blemishes. There's the sunlight's perfect. You know, the hair's perfect. And then it turned out they were in AI. They talk about evolution and stuff, which I don't know if we humans have evolved or de-evolved these days, honestly. And yeah, it's just like, what do we do in a world so concerned with appearances? Because a lot of people, I think, are held hostage by optics and prisoners of perception. And I think social media has led to that. And also, as a content creator, I don't know where Sora or other place will control the thing. Because, again, if it's entertaining, it doesn't matter. And I remember they actually, did you hear about this? They actually have an AI actress out named Tilly Norwood.
I did.
Yes, I did a video about that. And it really made me question some stuff. Because you see, there's three big things that AI have problems with. Three big things. Emotional intelligence, creativity, and precision. Humans usually have these three domains down most of the time. Most of the time. But I don't know. I don't think. Do you ever think the human touch will become an endangered species or a luxury? That's what I'm worried about. Like when I write my stories, I have to put in there, "Human wrote this," you know, because I use Pro Writing Rate and Grammarly as edits. I've never once put, "Oh, I need a story about this or that," and the ChatGPT can't push something out. I've never done that. I don't really want to do that. But if it comes down to it, I might will because it sounds very useful. If it cuts some time out, might as well. I mean, that's the one thing technology was made to do was cut time down, for better or worse. But yeah, what do you think about the problems with AI and people using it?
I think for some, I mean, and I think there's people out there that's already become a serious issue. But I think for the most part, there's just something about human connection that we'll never really get away from, and I think it's something that people are gonna crave and desire enough that it's never really gonna go away.
Yes, because I think human connection's that X factor, you know, that mysterious ingredient, that chemical X, you know, runs Powerpuff Girls. And I actually did a video on AI companions. I also did another video on AI romance. What do you feel about that for friendship and other, like to get their fix or something, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, what do you think about deep personal relationships who can't have trouble getting them or maintaining them?
I think it's a slippery slope if you get too attached to the AI, because you got to remember it's still just ones and zeros. There's no soul. There's no human in it. It's so you just, I mean, talking to binary and it's also, from what I understand, so at least with ChatGPT, they're kind of programmed in a way to agree with you and affirm what you already believe based on what you're telling it. So it's still good to be with people, especially those that disagree with you, so you can build a better worldview and see what the humans are doing, what they're out and doing, how it is.
Well, I also did the video on AI and companions and AI runs. The AI companion one, I thought again it'd be like it would help you get friends or maybe talk to you about some basic human communication because I think we humans have lost a lot and gained a bit with social media. We've lost a lot of stuff. And I think with a couple other world events in the last couple of years, it has made us where we can't really think about other people. We can't think of them as an other. We demonize people and try to lessen them down to some type of atomization that is atrocious, in my opinion. I mean, people are people, and I get into arguments all the time. I love to argue. I think he also knows I love to argue. Just ask it. We used to go to jiu-jitsu together, and I'd love to argue. I'd love a good discussion. And I never once let in on name calling of the profane kind. Usually just pretty middle school stuff, sophomore jokes and all that. But that's what I love about jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's like the mat. It doesn't matter. Talk doesn't matter because you only choke somebody, And it's like It's like jiu-jitsu is the letters paired to people with the words, and we have a conversation. It's really helped my trauma out too as well because you can't really focus on anything else. You're moving your body, and also a big thing, which I think you've learned recently, is that the hips are the key to athletic movement in life. And that's the biggest thing in jiu-jitsu is using your hips. When I use my hips, I'm much better at my games. I can guard, I can pull better, I can move around better, because the Japanese, they have a thing where the samurai would cut below their navel. It's called the harikiri because they're cutting the hari, which is like the center of gravity. They would do that, separating their soul from their body due to dishonorment in the samurai lineage. And I think, and also the only way you can have triple extension is from the hips, which is the most powerful movement, doing the clean and all that, slam throws and all that. And I've studied that for a long time. And also trauma is in the hips. It will hold you back. It will constrain you, which I've had to deal with too. And it's also helped me a lot in BJJ to help that trauma. Which I also learned about something in my coaching called TRE, or tension release exercise. Have you heard of these?
I haven't.
Okay. Well, you see, how do I explain this? You see, shaking and quivering are very human, very natural conditions. Like my dog, there's a thunderstorm, he'll shake a little bit, or if you're out in the savannah, you'll see zebras kind of shake and shiver just to get the tension out. And we humans have incredible capacity for many things, and sadly one of them is holding on to tension and trauma. And that'll show up in many different ways, and especially, again, I'm not a therapist, a doctor, or a dietitian. I'm a nutritionist at best, but I'm also a stress coach. And what I've learned is I've tried doing these, and I'd highly recommend getting a practitioner, and they'll help you get past that. Because I know a few exercises that have really helped me out and get past some habits of mine that were not very healthy. Too much listening to myself, and it helps the nervous system soothe itself, and help get that out, which I highly recommend anybody look into. I don't think it's that much, and it's worth a look. I wouldn't do it without any type of supervision, because I have a couple degrees, I can understand where they're coming from, but the body has an incredible way to heal itself. That's why I think nutrition is so good. It's what you keep using, you keep going with. I think a lot of psychological and physical ailments come from the stomach. Like, you have more gut bacteria in your body than you have cells in your body. You have more gut cells in your stomach. And those little guys, those little microbes can influence so much.
I've heard that.
Yes. I call it the micro influences the macro and vice versa because it's so powerful. They actually call the stomach or the gut the second heart, the second brain, just how you feel with, butterflies, emptying, feeling your stomach hit the ground. There's so many phrases. It's fascinating. I studied in college a lot. And that's why I did my series on boy starvation, because starvation should be a state. It shouldn't be anything political, religious, or anything, but I can use it as a way to understand, talk about stuff. That's what I was trying to do with this podcast, try to get your story out, because we let our stories and our dreams die, nobody else. And I didn't want yours to, and I miss you from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, you feel community, and again, that's
Yeah.
what people want to be part of a pack. Even though I'm kind of a lone wolf, and that comes from just years of being me. But I try to open up,
Mm-hmm.
and it sometimes comes back to bite me, and sometimes it doesn't. But what did you do before BJJ for physically, or creatively get your energy, put right?
I used to be a runner.
Oh,
I
really?
used to run a lot. I'd run different races and just kind of keep myself active and my body going. Got into swimming for a while. That's such a great cardio exercise. Easy on the body. And it's water. You float, so you don't have to worry about your body composition or everything or anything. You'll be pretty all right in the water. Low impact on the joints and then some weightlifting every now and then.
Okay.
I try to stay physically active.
I can tell you've done a pretty good job of that when we roll. I can promise you. I can feel that. I gotta be on my game. Or I'm getting crushed.
Yeah, I miss jiu-jitsu. Once I get over this injury, I'll be back on the mat.
You better be. You're not too far from. I'm just kidding. I love swimming too because I grew up near a lake.
Mm.
If you didn't like swimming, you're gonna be bored for a while because everybody likes to swim. Where I'm from, we all know how to hold our breath for like 6 or 8 minutes. We're very like fish people over there. That's being nice. And also, I have certain distortions in my brain that I feel I'm too sensitive to some stimuli too much. It helps drown it out, literally. And I feel I can express myself in the water more than I can on land. Like, ironically, I feel myself drowning in real life more than I do in the water. And also, I remember, have you ever heard of float tanks?
Oh yeah, I've done that a few times.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I've done it a lot. I highly recommend actually put a video up on float tanks, how it helps you decompress and all that, and how it's a good thing. But this is what people want all the time, is not want weightlessness. Like, imagine you were in the space, your muscles wouldn't get any type of conditioning. Your bones would shrivel. We need pressure. We need gravity, and people don't want to deal with gravity these days. It seems like, at least in a psychological perspective. But I don't think that's right. It's good to go back there once in a while. I love float tanks. They keep closing down, though. It really, I don't really have time. I would like to get some money to do that, but we'll see. But again, that helps me calm down, helps cut the sensory overload I get a lot.
Oh, 100%.
And we humans, I think, a big problem these days, we have an information epidemic where there's too much information.
Oh, yeah.
They said the misinformation on TikTok alone was about 20% against all users, and that's a lot of content.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up, you can't believe everything you see on television. Sure as heck can't believe everything you see on the internet either. And my hope for AI is to help cut that down, because I believe AI, whether you like it or not, will bring back merit-based, knowing how to use these tools or not. Now, it's not saying they're perfect, and we humans tend to go, we're like, a lot of people are like lightning, myself included, we like to go to the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And AI will help achieve that. And I think it will not replace, I think it'll replace jobs and also create new ones. What are your ideas on everybody talking about UBI and stuff because of AI?
That's a pretty tricky subject. I'm not real well versed in it, so I don't really have a strong opinion. But we still have to have an economy, and we still have, people still have to survive. So if we can find a way to help people that would need something like that, or at least create more jobs for people to earn income. Good.
And my grandmother would tell me, even in heaven, baby, somebody saw us clean the toilets, straight up. And it's UBI is universal basic income, where it makes a set amount, I believe. And the way I think they do that is taxing the AI, the robots, to an umpteen degree. I mean, robots don't got to feed families yet. I'm gonna wait to hear that one. We got a family to feed. Like, your ones and zeros. You got irrational numbers to feed. But I don't really like people not having a chance. Like, I feel it actually a lot worse that a person because I did another video on this where the Gen Z unemployment for people with degrees and versus without are very bad. Like people with the degree in Gen Z, the unemployment's worse by a factor of nearly 1%. That's literally nearly millions of people out of work. No one really gets the idea how bad unemployment is. By each fraction of a decimal is tons of lives affected. And I remember growing up hearing like, "Oh, you're guaranteed a job with your degree and yada yada yada," and just again, if we had two jobs and you were more qualified, you get the job. That's how it is. I don't believe in this whole choosy ideology. I believe in just merit over merit. We have to do that now, I think, because the time for fantasy's over. You can't afford it. It's coming down to hard things, and the rooster's going to roost. And plus, I want everybody to be able to get their foot in the door, okay? Now, if they smash their foot in the door, crap on the good china, miss the toilet, I don't know, but that's their fault. But, like, everybody should have a chance to come in, and that's why I think AI is doing now, replacing junior software developers. Which, you know what the biggest problem about that is?
So,
There will not be senior developers.
good point.
I mean, I remember when companies used to train people and stuff, and some of them still do. We need to bring back some type of accountability and responsibility too. You know what I mean? Not that companies should babysit people, but if they want a certain outcome, they need to help make it happen. We can't expect. Well, I remember starting out. My buddy, he'd been out 6 years as an engineer. They want him for $15 an hour, and he didn't sleep. The Sandman, he had a restraining order against the Sandman. I promise you, he didn't sleep. And he drank, and I don't know how much coffee a man can drink before he kills over, but I think we're about to hit that number with him. And yeah, I'm not going to say their name, but just, I don't think it's fair. And life isn't fair, you know. I'm not 7 feet tall. I don't have a great voice. Wasn't born a black belt, you know, except in my mind, you know. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think people who should be allowed to try and allowed to work, but I think longer as America's going on, the more chances you mess up a little bit, you're screwed. And I think that's getting tighter and tighter. And I think that's just a thing. I don't think it's good or bad, it's how it is. Like, we're not, the gap for messing up is just going slower and slower. Like, I do one thing, that's closed forever. And I don't know. Where do you think America's headed, in your opinion?
I think we're going to be all right.
Okay.
We're in some turmoil.
Of course. I think we're going through growing pains.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But I think, I'm optimistic that it's going to work itself out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we need, by any means, another disaster, but, you know, post 9/11 America was insanely unified.
Yes, I remember that.
But
I believe we still have embers of that to this day.
yeah, we all have a lot more in common than we allow ourselves to see with each other, and I just think we need to find a way to open up discourse and communicate with each other again as people to people, not online, because you know as well as anyone that people will say things online that they won't say in person. There's that anonymity, and it's easy to say hurtful things to somebody when you're not looking them in the eye and you can't see the effect it's having. So I think we just somehow find a way to come together as people again and communicate.
Well, that's why I try to find the difference that make a difference, you know. And it's like a garden. You can't just have a bunch of tomatoes. You can't have much broccoli. Your toilet wouldn't last a while after all that, you know. And I believe, too, that I think a lot of people have dealt with something I think a big problem these days is battles of the body, wars in the mind, is what I tell people with my kind of philosophy. Because we like to catastrophize a lot and make things way worse, you know. And plus, you know the one way you get somebody to reveal themselves, ironically enough, paradoxically, you know how you do it?
How's that?
You give them a mask. You give them a mask. Like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Is there a Jekyll? Is there a Mr. Hyde? What do you really know about somebody when they feel comfortable, you know what I mean? And you let them just open up, you know. let the dark minds of their mind go through. And one more thing, you've had a recent experience. Would you like to go over that, or you don't want to cover that with your trip and all that?
Oh yeah, I recently went on a retreat down to Peru to do ayahuasca. It was an organization that helps veterans uh, get to get an opportunity to do that. It's a good. We went down to a retreat that was well organized and managed. Uh, it was great. I think it was very beneficial, and I think for I mean especially for veterans that if you can find a way to do psychedelics, I think it's very helpful. Uh, do your research and find a place that's safe. You're not just some random garage on the backside of town. Uh, but yeah, went down with Heroic Hearts program, and you make a small donation and they cover your travel, your lodging, and the cost of the retreat and the food and everything. And there's
We got surprise guests.
there's Autumn.
We got surprise guests.
But yeah, it was a really good deal, and it's something. Definitely talk to your healthcare provider before you try to do anything like that. There's always risks with something. The program itself, they did a good thorough health screening, and they make sure it's safe for you to go and everything. But I think it's very beneficial. They offer ayahuasca retreats, psilocybin retreats domestically, like you go to Oregon, and but I think it's incredible. I think it really helped me a lot. Kind of deal with some things I didn't want to accept in my mind. The medicine kind of broke down those barriers and allowed me to see things from a whole new perspective.
Yes. Well, that's good. I like alternatives. And again, I'm not a therapist or a doctor. And again, I would also say that. But I've also taken a lot of psychology classes, a good amount. And I would say that I think a lot of it's like, have you ever heard of shadow work?
No, I don't think so.
Well, it's where you try to confront things about yourself you don't like and try to accept them, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
okay.
different, like a lot of people see people as like, I guess, a coin, two sides, you know. But I see people as diamonds. There's so many different facets of people. So many different ways light and darkness can go around the prism, you know, and how one little different wavelength can change it all up. I believe with shadow work and also didactic therapy, which I also partake in due to my mental issues, is very helpful. Because there's something, you can't put medicine in everything, you know what I mean? And again, I've told you before, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure in my mind. And things like BJJ, ayahuasca, and other things can help open doors that we thought were closed. Sometimes you can lockpick, though. I believe so. And there's some other unhealthy ways. I'm not gonna go over those ones I've done. They're not good. They're not good stories. They're funny, but they're not good in hindsight. But I'm glad you found your help, and I want people to be curious, and I want people to wonder what healing could be, because I don't think a lot of people today want to heal or can be healed. Which, part of me, as a health promoter, I don't believe people cannot be unwell. And again, I have a stress, sleep, and stress recovery management certification, and that helps a lot with that. All the all the boundaries of life. There's so much more. I think a big problem we've had in the world in the last couple decades is people trying to be put into checklists and boxes and atomized to the furthest point. Like, the world's so much bigger than my point of view or yours, and that's what I like experiencing and trying to talk about. Like, what do we do? Because you know things, I know things. We both can find beauty in the differences in this canvas of life. It's a tapestry of time. We're just trying to weave together. And I've seen some good things, people getting together, coming together. And yeah, I'd say do your research. I do my research and everything. I don't leave my house without reading half a book. I wish I was joking. I'm like very poor Batman. Very poor, very funny Batman. Still Batman. And I think we're good. Anything else you want to talk about?
Mm, I don't think I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Everything pretty well. Appreciate it.
Yep, it's been a great talk. Like, share, and subscribe, and have any comments. I'll probably be the one to answer them, or I'll send some to Brad. We'll see what happens. Good day.